Welcome to the HESI A2 Test Prep Online Lesson Series. In this session, we'll go over the math section of the HESI test. We'll cover 12 questions for your HESI A2 test prep. Before we start, make sure you have a pencil and paper ready so you can take notes and follow along through the problems. Then download the Test Prep app from the App Store or Google Play. It has homework and practice tests to support this lesson. The app also has a prediction test, so you know exactly when you're ready to take the real test. Let's get started. Question 1. Aviation gasoline weighs 45 pounds per cubic foot, or 6 pounds per gallon. How many gallons are there in 10 cubic feet of aviation fuel? So we're starting out with this 10 cubic feet, and we notice that that's going to match up with this 45 pounds per cubic feet. We can't use the gallons yet because what we're working with is 10 cubic feet. We do 45 pounds per cubic foot. We multiply that by 10 cubic feet. Those units are going to cancel out. We have 1, which is effectively in the numerator, right? We could put this over 1, and then 1 that's in the denominator. 45 times 10 is 450, and we're left with pounds. Now we can use this second ratio, which is 6 pounds per gallon, to turn 450 pounds into gallons. 450 pounds. This time we want pounds to cancel out, which means we need gallons in the numerator and pounds in the denominator. So I'm going to put that 6 pounds in the denominator and per gallon in the numerator. That way when we multiply these cancel out, and we're left with 450 over 6 gallons. To find out what 450 divided by 6 would be, we're going to put 450 in the box. 6 goes outside the box. 6 does not go inside of 4. 6 goes into 45 7 times without going over. 6 times 7 is 42. Subtracting, 45 minus 42 is 3. Bring down the 0. 6 goes into 35 times. 6 times 5 is 30. And we have no remainder. 30 minus 30 is 0. So our answer is 75 gallons. Question 2. If 35 of the 140 cars delivered to a dealer were blue, what percent of the cars were blue? In this problem, we're comparing the number of blue cars to the total number of cars. So I'm going to write that out. We want blue cars over total cars equals 35 over 140. Okay, we're going to divide those to get a decimal, and then we can turn that decimal into a percent. 35 in the box, 140 outside the box. 140 does not fit inside of 3. 140 does not fit inside 35. Add a decimal and a few zeros here. 140 will fit inside of 350 twice. 2 times 140 would be 280. 350 minus 280 is 70. Drop down a 0. How many times does 140 go into 700? Let's try 5 times. So 140 times 5, just a guess. 0 times 5 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 140 times 5 is 7. Sorry, 700. Subtract those and we have no remainder. Remember, our decimal place just goes straight up right here. So our decimal is 0.25. If we want to turn that into a percent, we move the decimal 2 places to the right, which gives us 25%. Question 3, Terry earns $240 salary plus $5 per sale. How many sales must Terry make to earn $765 altogether? $240 salary means that's like a fixed pay. No matter what, no matter how many sales we make, we're getting $240. Then we're getting an additional $5 for every sale. So we'll write that as 5S, right? If we have 0 sales, that turns into 0. We only made $240. If we have 10 sales, that's 5 times 10 is 50, plus $240 is $290. So you can see that for every sale, we're going to make an additional $5. In this problem, we want to know how many sales we need to make to earn $765, right? So the salary plus 5 times the number of sales equals 765. Now we want to solve for 765. First, we'll subtract 240 from both sides. 5s, 765 minus 240 would be 565 minus 45, 25. Now we're going to divide both sides by 5, so we have s equals 525 divided by 5. I know that 5 is going to go into 500 100 times. I know that 5 is going to go into 25 5 times. So I know that 5 is going to go into 525 a total of 105 times. So that's our answer. You could also, of course, long divide. We would put 525 in the box, 5 outside the box, 5. 5 goes into 5 one time, subtract, bring down a 2, 5 does not go inside of 2, 0, 5 times 0 is 0, 2, you would bring down a 5, and then 5 would go into 25 5 times with no remainder. Question 4, if the perimeter of a square garden is 84 feet, what is the area of the garden? The perimeter of a square garden, or of a square in general, is just going to be side plus side plus side plus side, right? Because the definition of a square is that each of these sides are equal. We can rewrite that as 4s. The perimeter they gave us as 84, so we have 84 equals 4s. Divide both sides by 4, we'll get 21 equals s. We want to find the area of a square. Area equals the side squared. In this case, the side is 21, so we're going to do 21 squared. We can do as 21 times 21. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Add a 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Add these together. 1, 4, 4. 441 square feet. Question 5, a pizza is cut into 8 equal pieces. A person who eats half of one piece eats how much of the pizza? If it's cut into 8 equal pieces, then one piece is going to be 1/8 of the pizza. The person's eating 1/2 of one piece, so we're going to divide that by 2. So half one piece is going to be 1/8 divided by 2. Okay? And then should remember that to divide a fraction, we keep the first fraction, we change division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction. In this case, 2 we can write as 2/1, so when we flip, it's going to be 1/2. Multiplication, super easy. Straight across, 1 times 1 is 1, 8 times 2 is 16, so half of one piece is 1/16 of the whole pizza. Question 6, the ratio of the width to the length of a flower bed is 10 to 19. How long is the flower bed if the width is 6 feet? So we're talking about ratios here. Let's set up our ratio width over length. We know that's going to be 10 over 19. So we can always write a ratio like this as a fraction. How long is the flower bed if the width is 6 feet? So in our new scenario, the width is 6 feet, and we want to know the length, right? So notice here that all of my lengths are on the bottom. These are all lengths. And all of my widths are on the top. So that's how we're going to set up any kind of ratio problem. We have to be consistent. So if I started out with the width on top, then in my second fraction, width is on the top. In my third fraction, width is also on the top. Super important. Whenever we have a fraction equaling a fraction, like we do here, we're going to do cross multiplication. So I'm going to multiply across. 10 times L is 10L. And then I have 6 times 19. Let's do 6 times 19. 9 times 6, 54. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 5 is 11, so 114. I want to get L by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 10. That'll give me L. And then if we divide by 10, we move the decimal one place to the left. So it should make sense, right? We're making the number smaller if we divide by 10, and then it's just going to be one decimal place. So that'll be 11.4, and we're working in feet here. Question 7, what is the area of a triangle with a base of 9 feet and a height of 25 feet? Area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height equals 1/2. Base is 9 feet. Height is 25 feet. Okay, and then we can do these multiplication steps in any order. I'm going to do 9 times 25 first. Five times 9 is 45, carry the 4. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 4 is 22. So we have area equals 1/2, 225. equals 225 divided by 2, right? And then we can do our long division, so 225 goes in a box, 2 goes outside, 2 goes into 2 one time, just 2, drop down a 2, 2 goes into 2 again one time, subtract, bring down a 5, 2 goes into 5 twice, which is 4, running out of space here, which is 4, so we're going to do 5 minus 4 is 1. Imagine there's a 0 here, we're going to drop that down, which would come right here, and then 2 goes into 10 5 times with no remainder. So our final answer is 112.5 square feet. Question 8. What is the product of 3 factorial? Factorials tell us that we are going to multiply that number, 3, by every number less than 3 down to 1. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 1 is 6. So 3 factorial is 6. For example, if we had 5 factorial, we would do 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, always stopping at 1. 5 times 4, 20. 20 times 3, 60. 60 times 2, 120. And 120 times 1 is going to be, again, 120. Question 9. A child is 2.5 feet tall. The mother is twice as tall as the child. How tall is the child's mother? Twice as tall, so that means we're going to multiply 2.5 by 2. We want to multiply fractions. We typically want to turn this into an improper fraction. Just makes it easier to work with. So we'll do 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So we have 5 over 2 times 2. We're going to multiply the 2 by the numerator there. 5 times 2 is 10 over 2. And 10 over 2 equals 5. The mother is 5 feet tall. Question 10. John earned $60.84 for working 12 hours during the week. How much did he earn per hour? So that last sentence, how much did he earn per hour? We want earnings, which is dollars, and then per hour. So dollars per hours. So divided by, in math terms, is another way to say per. The dollars he made were 60 and 84 cents. The hours he worked were 12. So we need to do 60/84 divided by 12. 60/84 is in the numerator, so it's going to go in the box. 12 is the denominator, so it's going to go outside the box. 12 does not go into 6. 12 goes into 60 5 times, which is 60. Subtract, we get a 0. Bring down an 8. 12 does not go inside of 8, so we have a 0. Bring down a 4. 12 goes inside of 84 7 times, right? 12 times 7 is 84. subtract. 84 minus 84 is 0. So our answer, once we move the decimal up, is $5.07 per hour. Question 11. Out of 20 attempts, a player scored 8 times. What percent did he score? So this question is asking us to compare the number of times he scored to the number of times he attempted to score. So we'll write that as scored over attempts. The number of times he scored was 8. The number of attempts he made was 20. We can divide these both by 2 to simplify this fraction. Equals 4 over 10. And then we should know that 4 over 10 equals 0.4, which we can write as a percent by moving the decimal 2 places, creating a 0 here. So 40%. 4 over 10 equals 0.4, which equals 40%. Okay, just like earlier, if we do 4 divided by 10, we're going to move the decimal exactly 1 place. So that's how we get 0.4. Fern's wheels take 45 seconds to make a rotation. How many rotations can it make in 3 hours? So we're going to start out by writing a ratio of rotations per time. So we look at this first part. We're making 1 rotation in 45 seconds. If we want to turn that into minutes, we're going to multiply that by a ratio of seconds over minutes. How many seconds are in a minute? 60. Because we have seconds in the denominator and seconds in the numerator, those are going to cancel out, which is what we want. So we're going to have 1 times 60 in the numerator, which is 60 rotations. In the denominator, we have 45 times minutes, so we have 45 minutes. Okay. Now we want to turn this into hours. So we'll rewrite this, 60 rotations in 45 minutes. To cancel minutes, we're going to put minutes in the numerator. We want to be left with hours, so I'll put that in the denominator. These will cancel. How many minutes are in an hour? Again, it's going to be 60. What's 60 times 60 in the numerator? That's going to be 6 times 6, which is 36. Add 2 zeros, and we have rotations on the top. In the denominator, we have 45 and hours, so 45 hours. If we divide these, we're going to get rotations per hour. Right now we have 3,600 rotations in 45 hours, but what we want is how many rotations in 1 hour. So we'll put 3,600 in the box, 45 outside the box. 45 does not fit inside 3. 45 does not fit inside 36. 45 fits inside of 360. Let's try 8 times. 45 times 8 is 40. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 4 is 36. So 45 will fit inside of 360 8 times. Subtract, we get 0. Bring down a 0. 45 goes into 0. 0 times. No remainder. All right, so this is telling us that we have 80 rotations per 1 hour. So I just simplified this. So this guy became that new fraction that we just wrote, because 3600 divided by 45 equals 80. We want to know how many rotations we're making in 3 hours. We're going to multiply this rate of 80 rotations per hour by 3. Hours cancel out, and 80 times 3, we'll just do 8 times 3, which is 24, and add a 0, 240. Don't forget to download the HESI Test Prep app from the App Store or Google Play, where you'll find homework and a practice test to support this lesson. Make sure you score at least 80% on the practice test before moving on to the next lesson. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.